They say that one can cross the Rubicon only once, and that it is the most important act that any individual can perform. Well, if that is the case, then I, this week, have performed such an act. Because I, ladies and gentlemen, have purchased my very first Space Marines, as many people saw on my recent video, where I spent far too much money, an irresponsible amount of money, on little plastic Space Knights. Little tiny Space Knight man. But now I have a quandary. A very, very, very dangerous quandary. One that will alienate many people should I choose incorrectly. How will I paint these little... I was going to call them a rude word. These little men. We'll call them little men. Because I don't know. I have not undergone the education that most other miniature wargamers undergo when they are but children. Which is, their very first miniature, more often than not, is a Space Marine. And they learn how to paint these little Space Marines. I have never learned such a thing. I come to you now later in life, asking the question, how the hell am I going to paint these guys? How's this going to happen? I have no idea. What colors will I choose? I have no idea. And so that is why I'm here, begging you for your assistance, chat. Hello, everyone. How is it going? Hey there, Warren Terra. Hey there, guys. How's it going? Looking forward to that game, actually. Looking forward to hearing more about it. Pink and white, I'm being told already. I am sure I'm going to get lots and lots of similar recommendations. I have criteria that I need to hit. I have thematic things that I want to do with a color scheme. Because a color scheme, really, it tells a story, doesn't it? Whenever you paint miniatures. And for Space Marines, especially, the colors are ceremonial. This isn't a case of painting them camouflage. Space Marines don't wear colors that will help them blend in. There's no combat reason for why they are colored the way they are. It is heraldry. It is tradition. There are all of these reasons for it. But they're all symbolic reasons. None of them are practical. And that makes the choice of color for Space Marines especially important. I have painted power armored forces in the past, but they have usually been Sisters of Battle. And I paint them metallic colors because they are metallic. It is armor, and that is how I paint them. And I use their tabards to imbue a sense of color into the models. With Space Marines, it is different. They ritualistically paint their armor. So, if I were to go for a metallic color, that would be a choice. It would be a choice not to paint their armor, which would say something about them. That is the question that I face today. How's everyone going? Hello there, Overboard Miniature Gaming. Hello there. I am now a Space Marine owner. I must fall upon my knees and beg your forgiveness. I am now a Space Marine owner. And it's still a little bit weird to me. Maybe it's because I have not built any of them yet. So I still feel like a virgin. Pure, untouched, clean. But soon enough I will have to bathe in muddy waters. I will indeed, and I will emerge baptized anew, fresh, with soil in my hair. And it's going to be dirty, it's going to be messy, but I think we're just going to have to go with it. Orange with blue polka dots, says Lieutenant Sobol. I love this. I've been painting these little guys. I don't know if you'll be able to see them very well. I've been painting these little guys. They are block gangers from the... Oh, let me do the brand. Let me do the product placement. I have not been paid for this. But I have recently been playing quite a bit of this game. It is the Judge Dredd miniature game. I recently purchased the I Am the Law starter set. I bought this before the Space Marines. It was a lot cheaper. Admittedly, there was a lot less miniatures. Not substantially less, though. I recently bought that. I've been painting the block gangers from the Judge Dredd. game system. There's been lots of vibrant, bright colors, lots of polka dots. I've been drawing little words on the back of coats and such things just for fun. It's been a blast. But my Space Marines, I don't think will have that sort of 80s hair metal band vibe to them. I don't think I'm going to go with that. I want something a little bit more gritty, a little bit more grimy, a little bit more 2003, you know? Cast your mind back to the era. The Emperor accepts you, says John Colv. I don't want to be accepted by the Emperor. The Emperor is a nerd. I did choose Black Templars though, so maybe if that was the case, I have chosen poorly. Perhaps. Welcome to the fun that is painting a marine hobby, says Shadow Minx Hobbies, with a little bit of slight trepidation in your voice there, Shadow Minx, if I'm not mistaken. I think there might be a little bit of sarcasm in that sentence. I'm ready to have fun with it. I'm ready to have fun with it. Good morning, John Langer. Apologies to the Americans out there. I have scheduled this for a little bit early. I've scheduled it for an hour earlier than usual. I know that you Yanks, it's all morning for you. You're all getting your coffee because you don't drink tea. Apologies for that. I will be recording a video this evening, and so therefore I just need more time. So I cannot, I've had to schedule. Everything's been pushed forward a little bit. So I apologize for that. KJ says, prep for Christmas, Space Marine, Santa, and Elves, claim it back from the Orcs. That is definitely a vibe. I could go for a seasonal theme, and these models, they're not getting painted today. They're not getting painted tomorrow, so they're not going to be painted in October. We're going to be past the spooky season, of which, what do you think of my pumpkin? You think my pumpkin's good? Do you like my pumpkin? I think it's good. I like the pumpkin. That's the kind of fun seasonality you'll find on the channel. But October's over. There's no more shudders. There's no more shakes. There's no more shivers. Well, the shivers will be of a different kind. They'll be just mere, cold. So maybe Christmas. Although, I don't know if I necessarily want to lock them in so that I can only get them out a certain time of the year. I think Christmas, and I apologies in advance to the Australians out there, but if you're kissing under the mistletoe and filling stockings and you're on a beach and it's hot out, it's not Christmas. I'm sorry. It has to be snowing. There has to be, Die Hard on the TV. That's the Christmas vibe that has to happen. I'm sorry. Rogue Goes Ever On says, hey, from Germany here. Thoughts on hover vehicle? Don't use the flight stand. Maybe 3D print some terrain. It can hover over. It gets more movement into it and may not look as weird. Well, thank you for the suggestion, Goes Ever On. That's actually an interesting idea. So I will say this. I was down on the hover vehicles for the Space Marines. I was pretty down on them recently. But in their defense, they're very low to the ground. They're not quite like... So if you look at I've got some Dark Eldar Raiders there, but I'm not gonna move them because it is a nightmare every single time they move. That's the true fear of a Dark Eldar raid. It's the fact that someone has had to physically... I've magnetized them, by the way, so they're stuck to a magna rack over there. It means that if they are showing up, you better be afraid, because I have had to carefully lift them from the magna rack, shuddering and shaking with every moment. If I put them on the table, I mean business. Because I put through. I went for it. I had to endure some nastiness to get there. So now I'm going to make you endure some nastiness. It almost, whenever their codex was incredibly strong last year, it almost made it worth it. Not quite, though. But in fairness to Games Workshop, they did make the hover vehicles for the Space Marines very low to the ground. Which, fair enough. I don't like the metal tracks on the bottom. It has this design language of actual tracks, like a tread from a vehicle, but they're kind of the wrong way around. They're kind of horizontal instead of being vertical to the ground. It's weird to me. It's just weird. I'm not used to it. Maybe, I used to think that maybe my issue with a lot of the Primaris design choices was really one of exposure, the way that someone flashing you in the street's kind of frightening, but you get used to your partners. I thought it was kind of like that, but it wasn't, it never really has been, to be perfectly frank. I still haven't gotten used to the Primaris. at all. I still haven't gotten used to them. I look at it and I still think it looks a bit weird. So there we go. But I like the idea of utilizing terrain and scenery to maybe hide that a little bit. But at the end of the day, I quite like predators. Now that said, I did learn that the predator is going to run into issues with the keywords, because the predator is not a Primaris vehicle. It's going to run into issues with the keywords. And that's a little bit of a problem. That's a little bit of a problem, because I don't want my Space Marine army. For those who don't know, by the way, for those who do not know, I recently purchased 2,000 points worth of Space Marines because I lost a bet. It's a long story, but there we are. I lost a bet. I had to buy 2,000 points of Space Marines. Now I have a Space Marine army. I've just got a Space Marine army burning a hole in my pocket. Burning an absolute massive hole in my pocket. I need to paint them. I need to get them out there. I need to ship them away. I need to get them on the table. And I don't need the army necessarily to be hyper competitive. They don't need to be like winning tournaments, because they're not going to, because of the way I built them was pretty uncompetitive. But Black Templar apparently are pretty rubbish anyway, and I went for Black Templar as the chapter I'm playing as. I've just designed them to be kind of interesting, to be a little bit of a pick and mix, whenever you go to the store and you pick up stuff here and there and you throw it in. That's all I've gone for. But what that means is I've chosen things that I think look cool, including a Predator tank, which apparently is going to run into difficulties in terms of keywords and rules, interactions. So that's a bit of a nightmare. But what I'm going to do is I'm just going to pretend like it's a Primaris vehicle. I'm just going to pretend. I'm going to proxy. I'm going to pretend. So if someone goes, your Predator isn't, I'm going to go, nah. That's gonna be my response. They're gonna be like, "Oh, sorry, that can't benefit from your captain's aura. It's not a Primaris vehicle." And I'm gonna look at them and I'm gonna go, "Yeah." That's gonna be my response. Is that a fair response? I think it's a fair response. I don't accept this reality the Games Workshop have input. Halloween is always in season, says Peepina. I 100% agree, Peepina. Halloween is incredible. I love horror. It's my favorite time of the year, more than likely. Autumn evenings. Doesn't everybody just love autumn evenings? You got the cool, crisp air. You got the deciduous trees, right? They're dropping leaves all over the place. Everything's orange. Oh, baby, bring me there. Although I do love the presents from Christmas. Like, I do like the gift giving in Christmas. I do like that. But I like the spooks and scares from Halloween as well. Okay, George Atkin says, just spray them black, do some white with skin tone and silver. Hey, presto, Black Templars. George, but I am not actually painting Black Templars. This is the big thing. So I have purchased an army of these little boys, these Black Templar fellas, but they're not going to look like this. They're not going to be all black and white. That's not going to be the vibe. Because they're going to be a successor chapter. They're going to be a Black Templar successor chapter. Which isn't to say that we can't do them black. We could, in theory, do them black. But they're gonna have a color, I think. They're gonna have a color of some kind. And I'm trying to figure out what that is. So help me today. Chat, help me today. Okay. How about we paint them Blatichu style, says Lord Beard. I like this idea. So, here's the thing, right? I'm picking a Space Marine color scheme. I did a little quick Google. Turns out there's a lot of Space Marine color schemes. There's like a lot of them out there. You might be surprised. You might be like, what? I thought there was like 7. No, there's like way more than that. People have been painting colors on Space Marines in a variety of choices. It's been pretty wild. But what I've noticed one theme, it's that they're all very bright. They're all very primary color. They're all very like, hey, this guy's yellow. That's not what I'm going for. I want to go grim dark. I want to go grimy. I want to go gritty. I want to go Blanchitsu. I think, Lartbeard, you're hitting exactly the kind of tone that I want to get to. I'm thinking rattling chains in your basement. You know what I mean? Not 80s hair metal. I'm thinking more, whoo. Okay, well, admittedly, actually, those two things are not necessarily in opposition. But you get what I mean, right? You get what I mean? Am I being clear or am I being unclear? Let me know, chat. Just don't glue the fake tracks on, says my cat is typing this. My cat is typing this, which is an incredible name, by the way. I get what you're saying. Like, ultimately, you can kind of choose it. I think what I would do is I'd probably still glue them on, which I'm probably going to do this with the Impulsor, because I have an Impulsor. I'm probably going to glue them on, but I'll just, like, not paint them bulk on metal, you know? Or rather, lead belcher / whatever this, Iron Warrior. Iron Warriors. I'll probably just paint them the same color that I'm painting the rest of the Impulsor. I'll probably do that. I think I'm going to paint Marine Army pink, blue, and white and watch people lose their minds, says Shadow Minx. Hobbies. Go for it. Actually, I had somebody in my local Games Workshop store who was banned from the store because they had painted their miniatures in the same color scheme as the local police force for my area. And they were not allowed to play with that army because the police force in Northern Ireland, it's quite a political entity. It's a political statement. Yeah, they got banned. It was very funny though. It made me laugh. Robson says, I like the color teal, so I pretty much just ignored the fact that that is intriguing. That is an intriguing sentence. What did he ignore? What did Rob ignore? I don't know, but I think that an axe murderer got him midway through the sentence. That's incredibly intriguing. I love teal, but I'm going to be honest. One of my favorite colors is not this one. Well, kind of. These two. The kind of turquoise vibe. You can't see it because there's a green screen, and these are kind of green adjacent, but we're looking at Sutek green and Temple Guard blue. The kind of turquoisey vibe. I've actually been painting a ton of my ganger models for the block gang. Pterodon turquoise is kind of the color scheme that I've been going for. I'm a really big fan of that color scheme. I really am. Now, I think that's actually the Sons of Horus vibe, isn't it? That's the Sons of Horus color scheme. Am I right or am I wrong? What about cold dark purple, says Will Blum. Okay, so purple's my favorite color. Though I have been straying towards turquoise in recent years. I'm blaming all the 80s renaissance that's been happening now for the last 15 years. So purple's a good idea, right? So the color scheme, as I was mentioning, is a choice. It's a big choice. It's a big part of the personality of the army. Alpha Legion. Yeah, that's it. Word I cannot pronounce. The color scheme is a big choice. And this Space Marine force that I'm painting, I am theming these guys. I'm theming them off the back of this model. You can't see it because it's in plastic and it hasn't been put together. This you may not be able to see because it's just on this little resin sprues. It is an Inquisitor. And the reason it is an Inquisitor, I have included this Inquisitor into my force as the one free Aegis of the Imperium that you can add into your army without using up any CP. I have imbued that Inquisitor into the army because this Space Marine chapter are going to be subservient to the Inquisition. And specifically, this Inquisitor. They're going to be the servants of this Inquisitor, or at least allied in some capacity. I'm not sure completely about the relationship, but they're cozy with the church. So they're very similar to the Minotaurs. I think it's the Minotaurs. The Minotaurs are like the pro-Inquisition Space Marine chapter who will wage wars against other Space Marines. And that is the kind of vibe that I'm going to go for. So when I think church, now I may be wrong here, but when I think church, I do think purple. I do think purple when I think church. I think the Vatican. And that might be, maybe purple is a color. But if purple is a color, I think that's going on the tabards, because we've got a couple. I've accidentally screwed myself here a little bit. I've screwed myself a little bit here because I chose the Black Templar. We're not just dealing with normal Space Marines. We're not just dealing with these fellas here. We're dealing with these fellas too. You see them here with their tabards. They have tabards. That means we can't just paint a single color. We're gonna have to choose a color for the tabard as well. Nightmare. This has increased our decision making from 1 to 2. That's 100% increase. Thank you very much for the donation, Freakish Uproar. That's £20. That's a massive donation. Thank you very much. I really appreciate that. Saying, I forgot exactly how much money you ended up spending on your Discourse Angel. Okay, I like that. Black Discoursaires Force. But this covers it, right? Just kidding. Hope you're doing all right. Well, thank you very much for the donation. I really, really, really do appreciate that. I really do. It was an incredibly expensive. It was the most expensive video I've ever made. I'll say that much. It was by far the most expensive video that I've ever made. Incredibly expensive. A very foolish bet. Let this be a lesson. Do not make a bet like that. Don't ever say, I'll just buy a Space Marine army if I'm wrong. That's how much I think I'm right. Don't ever say that, because you'll be wrong, and then you'll have to buy a Space Marine army. So thank you very much, Freakish Uproar. I do appreciate that. I'm loving the Discourse Angel / Black Discourse Airs name. I'm liking that as a vibe, yeah, for sure. But that will go towards that will go in the pot towards the mass amount of Space Marines that have now arrived on my doorstep, somewhat unannounced. John Colvin is saying purple, white tabard, that works. Do you think so? Do you think a white tabard over purple works? I don't know. Magenta for the tabard, says Calcedern. Do we think black? Do we think black works for is that what we're gonna go for? I'm a little bit reluctant to do black. Black is a little bit awkward. Now I'm gonna come out here. You're saying that there's a robot. Oh Lord, the audio. Uh-oh. We got the audio. So let me know whenever it ends. Let me know until whenever the robot ends. Let me know when that happens. But I can't promise anything. We live in service to the machine spirit. It's usually the Bluetooth driving that. Oh, okay. Thanks very much. Let me make a note of that so I can fix that later on. Burgundy. To complement the purple, will a burgundy, let's, so, okay, here is another caveat to this. There's two ways we can paint this force. So let's work out how we're going to paint it first, and then choose the colors, okay? Because there's two kind of opposite ways we're going to paint this. And the first one would be the traditional way that I would paint a big force fast, which would be pure dry brushing. For those who saw my Sisters of Battle 2000 point all in one sitting painting bonanza, I painted all of my Sisters of Battle with I dry brushed. Actually, I've got them here. Okay, I got them here. I dry brushed them gold, and then I just painted on little panels of purple here and there. Just threw it right on there. Zeri's purple. Just slapped it right on. Did not care. The real slap chop. God damn it. So traditionally, I would dry brush. And if we're going for a metallic color, that's what I'll do. I'm going to dry brush them. However, if we decide to go for actual colors, then I'm going to want to go for the slap chop method as a fast, speedy way to paint. Because I'm going to have to do this all in one day. This has to be fast. This cannot be a complicated color scheme. I need to do this all in one day. Overnight, basically. I need to do it all overnight. It can't be too complicated. I'm pretty dim at the best of times. So, you know, at R18, I'm gonna need to follow very simple instructions. We're not gonna be quartering anybody here. Turbo Dork color changer, maybe. McBrody86 is saying. Like this? I mean, like Turbo Dorks like this? Perhaps. I actually really like these. These are the color changers. They have like a little spectrum of color, and you basically have to undercoat models black, and then you paint that on top of them, and it gives them like a metallic sheen. It's very futuristic, perhaps. So we're either going to dry brush a metallic color, or we're going to slap chop. Honestly, I'm erring towards slap chop. I've been slap chopping a lot of models, or underpainting, as the oldies like to say. I've been doing that with a lot of models recently. I've been having a ton of fun doing it. Honestly. I've been painting fast, I'm painting good. It looks better than my traditional contrast that I usually just have a gray undercoat, and then I would just paint with contrast. I'm actually really enjoying having the black. I'm going really dark on it too. Freakish Uproar says, the way you've described this chapter, I can imagine them working pretty closely alongside the sisters. Well, that is my ultimate goal, Freakish Uproar. I'm going to, at some stage, I'm going to have I'm building them all to be a single force. I'm building them all to be like an Inquisitor's force. Sisters of Battle. We're going to have Sisters of Battle. We're going to have Space Marines. And we're going to have, not guardsmen, but, you know, camp followers. So I'm going to be using, ultimately, this is like unconnected. Well, it's connected, but like this is like a long-term project. In the far future, what I want to have is to have a full 2,000 points of Space Marines, 2,000 points of Sisters, and then but maybe about 2,000 points of like followers. So a heavily kit-bashed Imperial Guard kind of force, but based on the Necromunda models. That gang, what are they called? The ones that are crazy. Okay, that's all of them. The ones that are hyper-religious, those guys. It's going to be a ton of fun. Space Chameleons chapter, painted entirely in Turbo Dork stuff. That could be fun. That could be fun. Color changers seem really cool, and it's an original choice, as my cat is typing this. It is a bit of an original choice. I don't necessarily want to be original, though. Alekman24 says, what do you think of purple, gold, and red? Maybe purple armor, red tabards, and gold trim if you want more specifics. Well, thank you very much for the donation. I really appreciate that. So my problem with that color scheme is that it might be very bright. That's what I would be worried about, because I think the purple and red would actually go together really well. I actually think those colors would complement each other really well, but I think it would be super bright. What I'm looking to do is, I'm looking to go for a very dark, I'm going for like almost a Blanchissu kind of vibe. I feel like I would need to dull those colors down a lot with like a Nuln Oil. I think I need to go really hard on them. Cawdor, thank you very much. Cat is typing this. I think I need to Nuln Oil those, I think, in order to kind of dull it all down a little bit. But thank you very much for the donation. I really appreciate that. Thank you. Buzz Lightyear as an influence, Jazandu. I'd rather not paint white. I'd rather not paint white, honestly. I think I would rather go to Roblox, climb the tallest tower, and leap off it, than actually paint white again. I used to paint, I painted an Empire Force for the Star Wars Legion miniature game, and let me tell you, I didn't have fun. That honestly almost killed all of my joy. Not just for painting, but for life in general. So I'd rather not do that at all. Redemptionist, lots of flames. Exactly right, Aboros. Exactly. Good old fire. But that's for another time. We're worried about the Space Marine component here now. So do we want to go metallic, or do we want to go primary color for our armor? What do you think? What do you think? What would be best? Metallic with lots of Nuln Oil, or a primary color with lots of Nuln Oil, or slap chopped so it's quite dark? We're going to let the shadows be quite deep and dark in it. Instead of gold, use bronze or copper. That could dull it down. Yeah, that could bring it down a little bit. Drifter. I love the idea of a strongly themed Imperial army with Marine Sisters and not Guardsmen. The Guardsman bit has a lot of potential, especially using Ganger models like you mentioned, says Freaky Shop Roy. Yeah, that's the overall vibe. Basically, think like a crusade almost, you know? That's kind of the vibe I'm going for. John Culvis says, purple and white is beautiful, dirty. The white if it's scary for you. Dirty the white if it's scary for you. I could, yeah. I think what I would end up doing if I were to go for... The problem with that is I'd want to undercoat black. No matter what I do, I think I want to undercoat black. And then at that stage, I want to decide whether or not I'm going to go up with the slap chop. Am I going to go up to white with the dry brush? Or whether I'm going to stick with like a gray black if I'm going for metallic, I think is the vibe. Overboard Miniature Gaming, thank you very much for the donation. Says, love your videos and streams. Keep up the great content. I feel for you painting the Space Boys. Definitely paint them grimdark. Dirty, dirty boys. That's basically what I say on most Friday nights. Definitely Nuln Oil those bad boys down. Not metallic. Okay, well, thank you very much. We got a big vote here for not metallic. So we're thinking about primary color then. Thank you very much for the donation, Overboard Miniature Gaming. I really appreciate that. Thank you very much. So we're thinking not metallic then. So what primary color? Copper or gold metallic, or color changers? Color changers are good, but they are very bright in my experience. They're very bright. And we're doing this all for a video, remember. So we're gonna need to make it easy. Frozen Throg says, if you want to go full Blanchissu, you need to go with a Zorn palette. Ochre, red, and black. If we're going for colors rather than metallic, we need to use these. You need to tell me what colors from these. I'm going to be using contrast paints. If we're going for non-metallic on these guys, I'm going to go slap chop. I'm going to use contrast paints. At a push, for maybe highlights and things. No, I don't want to water down these paints. I don't want to water down base paints. I can't. I won't have the time. I'm going to be really pressed to get 2,000 points done in 24 hours. So I want to use contrast. I want to speed up my painting as much as possible. So tell me what colors from the contrasts do you think? Alex May says, do both mix in some purple into your metal or use inks, metal, and purple. I've actually never used inks before. I've never used inks before at all. That's like to me, like I've never heard of anyone really using inks until I like heard Midwinter Minis talk about it. I never really used inks. And I don't think I'm going to be starting that now. I think that's one of those things that I try maybe on stream, but not in a video. Because if I screw up on the video, I've set aside like an entire day and night to paint these things. And then suddenly I'm like, I'm gonna try out an ink. And I try it and it like ruins a model. I'm like, oh no. I need to find it. One more Space Marine. I can't set myself up like that. I can't set myself up like that. Elecman42 says, my vote for not metallic would go to red. I think red makes for a nice, dark, and churchy color. So traditionally, the Sisters of Battle, I think the Burning Rose or am I thinking of our Martyred Lady? One of the covens are basically would be red. So in the 40k setting, I do agree. Red has got a little bit of a churchy kind of color scheme for me. Though whenever I think of just Vatican, I think purple in at that stage. Why just one day, says Girl Painting? For the spectacle, Girl Painting. For the spectacle of the thing. Because, honestly, I do not want these Space Marines to hang around. I want them done. I want to get them done. Like, I want to get them done. I want them finished and completed, and I want to game with them. So what that means is there's only one way to get that done in a really speedy way. Otherwise, I'll sit on them for ages. I'm going to get it done in a single day, and I'm going to record it. And so therefore, there is a spectacle to this endeavor. Thank you very much for the donation. My cat is typing this. Says, Dirty Boys sounds like the perfect Successor chapter name. Dirty Choir Boys who want the more religious. I am going for a more religious vibe. I'm not... I feel like someone will come and shut me down if I call them the Dirty Choir Boys, though. I feel like the police will be at my door if that's the name of my... What's her Space Marine chapter called? I think it was Dirty Choir Boys. Yeah, that's a sick mind. Let's get in there. I don't think that I will... I don't think that I would be allowed... I don't think I would be allowed to call them the Dirty Choir Boys, perfectly honestly. I think if I walked into a Games Workshop store and I said, hey guys, want to play with my Space Marines? And they're like, yeah, sure. I was like, they're called the Dirty Choir Boys. They'd be like, nope. No, not get out. You're not allowed in here. A danger to everyone around you. The Bloody Rose. Thank you very much, Alex Bass. But thank you very much for the donation there. My cat is typing this. Drukhari colors. If it's the Drukhari colors, then we're going for the turquoise. Because that's how I've painted my Drukhari in the Pterodon turquoise, I think is what Achelian green, I think is what I painted them. I actually painted them the traditional color scheme of the Dark Eldar because I wanted to go for like a fey feel with them, and I thought that actually the darker green, the kind of turquoisey green, was the perfect color scheme for them. They used to be purple, but then I fixed them. It's like the way you would fix a dog, you know. In fairness, that's what Drukhari need. Calcidarn says black, orange, and red. That's a very Halloween vibe. Also, I want to avoid orange. That's a very political color over here. One Hope of the Doomed says a burnt orange color for the armor would give good contrast to the purple tabard. I don't like the color orange, honestly. I like it for this fella, but I would end up calling them like the mashing pumpkins or something if I were to paint them orange. Dirty Choir Boys paint stream, brown flecks of red and edged with white. I see them more as just pure white, and then the bit brown kind of tapered over it. Illegal custom Space Marine chapters. Yes, Freakish Emperor. Ralph Hummel says, speed contrast express paints is literally paint or ink mixed with glazed medium, slow dry, flow improver, and water. Been experimenting with making my own out of any paint I have. Works like a charm. Oh, I totally get it. Like, I understand that I am a bit of a sucker for having purchased contrast paints. I paid a lot of money for each individual pot of paint. I get that I can make them my own. In fact, I did. I painted a Bushido force, a warband for Bushido, the Hizumi family, and I painted them using, what was the color I chose? Contour blue. I used Contour blue, but I used them I basically slap chopped them, but I watered down my Contour blue, and it acted just like a contrast. And it looks really good, actually. Oh, no, I dropped the model. There's my contour blue. So, I get it. Like, I totally get it. But you gotta understand that for the performance of the video, it needs to be fast. I also would like it to be easily replica. Okay, we're gonna struggle with the English language here. Replicable. Replicable. This is the stuff. Yeah, this usually gets edited out. Replicable. I want it to be replicated. There we go. That's easy peasy. See, sorted. I want it to be able to be replicated so that if anyone wants to, they can have a look, and if it turns out good, they can go, I'm gonna replicate that. Or if it looks really bad, they're gonna say, I'm never going to replicate that. And that's all I want. That's all I want. White and yellow, because the suffering should never end. Thanks very much for the suggestion, Pixie. I will be ignoring it. Thank you very much for the donation. Elecman24 says, if you're looking for specific contrast paints, Flesh Terror Red and especially Shyish Purple are two of my favorites, if those colors are what you want. I do quite like those colors too. I am actually a big fan of them. I will say though, when it comes to Shyish Purple, sometimes it comes out a little bit too plum for my taste. It goes a little bit darker for my taste. I've actually fallen in love with Luxian Purple. It's just a very bright and vibrant color, and you throw it over a bit of black and gray, and it ends up looking really, really nice in my opinion. But thank you very much for the suggestion and for the donation there, Elecman24. I really do appreciate that. Girl Painting says, replicatable. Replicatable. There we go. Easy English. You're the best, says DK. Well, thank you very much. Not when it comes to painting, though. I'm actually very, very bad when it comes to painting. Hence my begging, right? If I was like an imaginative artiste, like most other miniature wargamers, I would be like, I'm just gonna paint them X and Y. I'd just like have two colors nailed out. I'd sit down, I'd paint them, I'd pull up the Space Marine and be like, how good's this? And everyone would be like, that looks incredible. But that's not me. I'm here, I'm asking you, I'm like, what the hell am I gonna paint these guys? I don't know. I've got all these paints. I don't know what the hell I'm gonna combine them together. I don't know how to do it. My cat is typing this. Oh, sorry. It was Shyish Purple that I hit. Shyish Purple is an interesting color. For the longest time, it was like my main purple. But now that Luxian is out, I've fallen for Luxian. I've fallen for it. I'm like, you know that meme of the girl kind of turning, going like, oh, and then you've got the guy turning over the shoulder. He sees the new girl. This is the Luxian. This is walking away. It's like the greener on the green side. The other side of the fence, grass. Not as yellow. That's the saying, right? Are there even Black Templar successors? Wouldn't they just be Imperial Fist successors? Says Meta ad infinitum. I don't know. So I mean, like, I've got the Codex. I've got the Space Marine Codex, and it does definitely kind of give you the colors. Quickly, screenshot and pirate it quickly before Games Workshop find out. Go. It shows you. I mean, like, I get, so for those who don't know, that's the Black Consuls, apparently. The Black Templars are a successor chapter of the Imperial Fists. And one of the main ones, it should be said. But I feel like you could have a split off. These guys probably disagree with I think that these Space Marines disagree with the Black Templar, and so therefore they split. They split away from them because they don't think that the Black Templars are going hard enough, you know? They think that the Black Templars are being a little bit lax. They probably disagree with the amount of force to apply when whipping the heresy out of somebody, beating the heresy out of somebody, you know? And they're like, you're not doing it right. You're going too lax on these peasants. You gotta go all in. And so that's why they'd be a successor of the Black Templar, in my mind, because they claim their lineage back to the Black Templar, and there is an identifiable time when they have split because of some sort of jurisprudential disagreement of some kind. That's my lore. That's my lore. Boom! We're coming up with lore as we talk. How about that? That's because to be honest, the fun of creating a new army, of starting a new army, and Warhammer's really good for this. You get to come up with your own, you get to imagine your own things, you know? You get to come up with your own little background and details and think all this stuff through. Samuel Roberts with the very clever, the big brain stuff here. Could always just spray paint them black and then dry brush the metal bits metal. That's the biggest brain, Samuel. That is how I did my Sisters of Battle. That is how I would have went into this project. That would have been like my main plan. I would have been like, right, we're gonna get Lead Belcher. We're gonna dry brush Lead Belcher, and then we're gonna paint a color over the tabard. Job's a good one. But I've been really enjoying the slap chop methods lately, which means that I could, in theory, use a color, an actual color outside of a metallic, for the armor as well. Silver with gold trim. You can dry brush the silver and knock them out real quick. They'll look great, says Pixie. Silver and gold. I've actually never gone all metal. You know, I've never been that I've been afraid. I've been afraid of going all metal. I'm going to say that right now. I have been terrified of going all metal. I've always been warned, you never go full metal. You never go full metal. But I'm being told to do so by Pixie here. Is that the correct choice? Lewis Bloom says, currently sat here painting using army paint or speed paints. Nice and quick for a full combat box force. I've got purple as the wife and kids chose. Very nice. That's a good choice. That's a good choice, Lewis. It's a good choice. Meta ad infinitum says, if you're going Black Templar Successor, I feel like you should draw on their palettes. Black, white, red, and yellow. If you're into purple, maybe work that in. But you see, they can be a Black Templar Successor, but at some stage, I mean, this could have happened like thousands of years ago. They could be a Black Templar Successor, but have said, we will not wear the colors. They have disgraced themselves. We disagree with them politically, and therefore we are going to be a new thing. We're going to be the new chapter. We're going to be the new face of the Templars reborn. We're going to take on a new color scheme to represent this new awakening, right? It's that easy. It's that easy. To me, the actual lineage of them is a little bit less important. Now, one thing I've been thinking of, right? Because we're going into 10th edition. I was wrong in terms of the actual announcement time. No, I think it's going to happen next year. But it's going to come soon. 10th edition is going to come soon. And I think we're very likely to see Rogel Dorn. We're going to see the Rogel Dorn. So, maybe I will make the very foolish decision to paint the bulk on metal. Well, Lead Belcher. And say that their armor was painted at one stage. They used to be Black Templar, like they had the Black Templar color scheme. They were black. But they have made an oath that they will not clean or paint their armor. Oh, I was gonna say until Rugaldor returns. Forget about that. What if they will not clean or paint their armor until the Emperor returns? How about that? So they're wearing like dirty, filthy armor, rusted in places. You can see bullet holes and stuff because they will never clean their armor. It's like their chivalric oath that they have sworn as an organization that they will not clean until the Emperor returns. That actually puts them a little bit Nurgle adjacent, actually. Now that, Blanchitsu could work really well with that kind of vibe. That would be pretty spooky. That would be a pretty cool, okay. I'm liking the idea. What do you guys think of that? There's the name, Templars Reborn, says Rafael Bornales. Templars Reborn? I don't know, it feels a bit, I don't want to tie them in too much to the Templars, to be honest. If they are Black Templar Successionists, they should have colors on the opposite side of the color wheel to show how much they are in disagreement. Yeah, they're like, we disagree so much. Now we're white, and we got black pauldrons, and our tabards are black. How about that? Yeah. What was black is white, and what is white is black. That is how much we disagree. I'm not against that idea, actually. I'm not against that idea. Inquisitor says yellow like Imperial Fists. Get back to basics. No, I'm not going to paint yellow. You can't convince me. The Inquisitor here trying to whisper sweet nothings into my ear. Just paint them yellow. Just paint them yellow. Never! I will not paint them yellow. I'm not falling for your tricks, Temptress. You're not going to worm-tongue me. Leroy says, I went full metal in my Arm Wars army. They look pretty good that way, but I also put an ultra matte varnish over it to dull it down. I think I would just go with like 3 thick coats of Nuln Oil, and that would wash it right down. That would wash it right down. Commune Queen says, Heresy Death Guard would be an easy color scheme pick for that. Ooh. Okay, Heresy Death Guard. Because the Death Guard, they're a Nurgle one, right? And they've got like a kind of a bulk gunny metal feel to them. Freak Shopper says, that's a cool idea. Marines Anticipators or something like that. You can have your turquoise gold with Turquoise blue with gold. That's oxidized, says Rogue is ever on. Wouldn't that be very hard to paint, though? Mike Henton says, Discourse, your idea about making them unwashed and unpainted would take a lot longer than any other paint scheme and might require using hot tools to make the bullet holes. No, like, I mean, you just dry brush the metal, right? So, okay, let me put forward my idea. Okay, so firstly, we undercoat them, we slap chop undercoat them, right? We kind of undercoat them like this. We get them, we spray them black. I'm gonna need to buy a couple of black primers actually for this. So we spray them black, right? Then we go above and we spray them gray, right? Then we dry brush a white over them. And focusing on the tabard parts with the white, okay? So we're going to focus on the tabard parts, and we can go kind of carefully over the metal. Then we simply take lead belcher, or maybe even iron warriors, which is a much darker one, and we dry brush over the armor with the iron warriors, okay? So that's like the base. Maybe throwing over, I kind of like the idea of colors being in some places. So like, it's kind of, oh god, yeah, chipping it away would be fun, but that would take a really long time. That would take a really long time to, like, chip away at that. That would be a bit of a danger. But if we kind of dry brush them, and then we just choose a color for the tabard, and then once we're done with that, we have the army done, right? Say we do all of that, and then we're kind of guaranteed we've got the color done, right? We've got that done. Then, because we have 24 hours. So we see how long that takes us. Say that takes us like 12 hours. That gives us another 12 hours to add detailing, to then go back over the force and start to add things like blood splatters, grime, rust. And we can do that until we run out of time. Starting with the captain or the chaplains and Grimaldis, and then working our way down to the troops. Is that a bit of an idea? Is that a bit of a plan? Rotoyo Blum, thank you very much for the donation, says slap chop the whole model with darker or dirtier contrast color, then dry brush with color you prefer to highlight some spots. Quite a fast method. Oh, then actually, that's actually a really good idea. What if we slap chop it, choose a primary color for the armor, and then dry brush it with the metal, Rotoyo? Like you've suggested, but that means as if the actual paint has come off at the edges, which would make sense. That would be how it would come off, isn't it? It would start to chip away at the exposed surfaces, and then at the bases last. Ooh. Iron Belcher, sorry, Khan. Ooh. Well, thank you very much for the donation, Rotoyo. I really appreciate that. Thank you very much. Thank you. And that's a great idea, actually. I think I'm gonna incorporate that. Yeah, I think I'm gonna incorporate that. A dirtier contrast with a dry brush. Yeah. Meta Ad Infinitum says, my experience with slap chop says that you probably want to be very generous with the gray and ideally as a dry brush. Contrast barely shows over black. Anything left black will be black after painting. That is true, but I actually don't mind that, because I want to go for a darker kind of vibe. I actually did this with my Don't Look Back models. Let me pull them up for you real quickly. So, if we look at these bad boys. Okay, so we look at this bad boy. You can see he's really dark. He's got really dark kind of under his, like around his butt and under his legs. And it's kind of black, but that kind of works out fine, in my opinion. That kind of works out fine. I think that looks good with the black in the recesses. It makes them look really, really dark. My cat is typing this says, first do at least one marine before your heroes until you like the paint scheme. I think I will have to do that. I think I will have to take one model and paint them first to make sure before I actually start the full massive project. I think I have to do one tester. I really do, because, and I think I might take one that's got like an exposed head. I'm going to try and minimize the amount of exposed heads, but I have no idea about the options that I've got in these boxes. I just have no idea. I have no idea at all. Let's see here. One Hope of the Doom says the Knights or Return to Glory. I kind of like the idea of glory in there, yeah. I kind of like that. Jade Rack says, I mean, my Necrons are almost all metallics plus some accents. Yeah. Dallas Step says, the historical color scheme of a Crusader is metallic silver, white, and crimson red. You can add rust and blood to this scheme. But I suppose we wanna capture the idea that they've been pulled in by the Inquisition. Would that include the silver and red? Robo Discourse again. My God, guys, I'm sorry for this. I think the mechanics don't want me painting Space Marines. Somebody out there does not want me painting Space Marines. Robo Discourse is back. Yeah. Happy Sunday, Jacob Tyler. Beep boop 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 beep bop boop. The Omnissiah speaks. Look after your screws. Make sure that they're kept away from water. Whenever there is rain, go to your hinges and clean the rain off. Make sure there is no rust. Aw, I've regained my humanity. Very sad. Damn, that's very unfortunate. That's very unfortunate. If I could add in a little bit of static here and there, we could do something. Tarande says, slap chop your ISP. I'd love to do so. What colors are the Inquisition? Do the Inquisition have a color scheme? I don't think they do. I don't think the Inquisition actually have a color scheme, do they? Imagine Mephisto Red and Leadbelcher, the Omniscient Crusade. Yeah, I want to avoid... Yeah, because red is the tech priests of Mars, isn't it? Huh. Yeah, the red is the tech priests. So we want to avoid that then. So we do want to avoid red. So are we knocking red off the... Are we knocking red off the list? We don't have the red. Inquisition's black, white, and red. Let's see. Okay. So we want... What color are the Minotaurs? Aren't the Minotaurs, like, very pro-Inquisitors? Are they just bronze? Have they got a bronze vibe to them? Peter Weiss, with a hot little recommendation here, says, Discourse, what's a Season of the Witch? Nick Cage is a Templar who abandons the Holy Wars and ends up dealing with witches for the church. I actually love Nick Cage. He's the best actor around today. He's one of he's my favorite actors, and I think, hot take, he is actually an incredible actor, and I think that I will fight anybody who disagrees. Nick Cage as an actor makes choices. Not a lot of other actors do that. He's one of the few people out there that is actually making choices and creating heightened performances. I think those are incredible. White with the blue shoes, says John A. Johnson. Minotaurs are bronze. Huh. Black and gold, says Errol Drummond. There is something about black and gold that is quite spooks. It is quite spooks, isn't it? Blessed be the rust. So bear in mind, I think I like this idea of there being a color and then we're going to dry brush it metal afterwards. I do like that idea of us taking a color and then going with a dry brush of a metallic color afterwards. This idea that they haven't washed or cleaned their armor because they're awaiting the return of the Emperor. I kind of like that. Like, they've taken an oath that they will not clean their armor. I think that's a really neat idea. And it makes them a little bit Nurgle adjacent. I don't like Nurgle, but this idea kind of... They feel like a chapter who could be captured by Nurgle, you know? I kind of like that idea. So I think I'm going to do that. So that's it. We've come up with a theme. They are a Black Templar Successor chapter. They have split from the Black Templar because thousands of years ago there was a disagreement in doctrine. And third, they are hyper-religious zealots. They believe that basically the Emperor will return when the Imperium is pure enough to seat him, to withstand his heavenly glory. And so they have sworn an oath that they will endure the misery. They will not clean their armor, they will not bathe, they will not clean themselves until the Emperor returns. So we've got a chapter here that's very stinky. It's been around for 1,000 years, a couple thousand years. They haven't cleaned their armor. It gets passed down. It's grimy, it's dirty, it's rusted, it's oxidized. There's blood splatters. It's bad. But there's still remnants of the original colors that they had. The Black Replicators. That's kind of cool. The Templars unwashed. We will wash in the blood of our enemies. Yes, we will wash ourselves in the tears of the unbelievers. The space hobos, says Bob Robinson. Well, these are the people who literally they will follow around an inquisitor, and they will be literally enforcing the judgments of the Inquisition. They'll basically be there as the armored fist of the Inquisition. The last Templars. I kind of like the idea of the last something. I don't know if I'll go for Templars, but I like the idea of the last. The last boys. But I like the idea of the last. Like the last, something a little bit grandiose, but also something to represent that they are like the last believers. I think these guys don't like Robot Gulliman. I get that vibe. I think they don't like the Ultramarines. I think they actually don't like most other Space Marine chapters, because other Space Marine chapters don't worship the Emperor as a god. And they actually believe that this lack of worship on the part of the Space Marines is why the Emperor has not returned. Because they don't believe hard enough. No one else is believing hard enough. The last faithful? The last bastion. How about that? Oh, something like that. The last ones. They're kind of like lost in space a little bit, you know? They're kind of like the shepherds of the believers. Mendicant Order of the Last Templar, says Andre. I don't know what mendicant means. Ben Robinson says Guardians of the Soap. Yes, they have the soap, but they will not use the soap. The Last Lather. I like that one, 24th Hour. The Knights of the Dark Order, says Marco Mad. Not the Last Order, says Muletter. Yeah, the Last Order. Wasn't that something else? Wasn't that or the First Order? That's the Star Wars, isn't it? The Order, the Last Acolytes, the Lost Acolytes, the Last Bastion, says Natimus. Natimus likes the Last Bastion. I think I kind of like the Last Bastion as well. The Word Bearers. Frozen Throg says, what if Word Bearer loyalists? Were there any? Were there any Word Bearer loyal? I mean, there's nothing to stop us from saying so, even if the books say not. The last defenders of the Holy Gird, they attest to the flock, the sheep hunters, the black zealots. What other words for zealots are there? What are there some religious repulsifiers? The last crusade, the final word, the vindicators, the final vindicators. I don't know. A lot of these like Latin kind of grandiose like religious words are already utilized in the naming conventions of traditional Space Marine forces. Sentinels of the Faith. I kind of like Sentinels, actually. I never thought about that. The Master Bidders, says Chili Willy. It could be an idea. The final supplicants. The last supplicants. The last word. Dorian Knight says, why not riff on the actual Templars, the poor fellow brothers of the throne? I guess that's kind of the idea of Mad Infinitum. If you imagine kind of like the way zealots are, in the, if you guys remember Warhammer Fantasy, there were the zealots, God, what were they called? The proselytizers, they would whip themselves. I guess this chapter's a bit like that. Maybe they like punish themselves. They like self-harm in order to they're trying to purify their body and soul. These guys are hyper religious. Like they make the Black Templar look a little bit atheist. Like these guys really believe in the Emperor. They're kind of like the way you would often. This is often reserved for humans. This kind of level of piety, you often see it in like the Sisters of Battle. But let's make them like a Space Marines that are kind of vibing like this. Flagellants, yeah, the Flagellants. Let's make them a little bit Flagellants. The Lash Masters. How about the Lash Masters? Yeah, like I kind of dig this idea. Oh man, you're making me I'm wanting to kitbash these guys now, but that's not going to be conducive to a single night. The Penitents, the Emperor's Penitents, something like that. The Purple Paladin, says Daniel B. The Lorem Ipsum chapter. Ooh. Mendicant orders, says Andre, are primarily certain Christian religious orders that have adopted a lifestyle of poverty, traveling and living in urban areas for purposes of preaching, evangelization. Okay, that could be interesting. The Mendicant. I've never heard of that term before. The Final Countdown. The Final Countdown, says B. Davies. Well, that's going to be the vibe. It's going to be the vibe. The Sullied Sons of the Lash. says Mike Steen. I like that. The Sons of the Lash, the Scourged. Okay, I'm liking this. We're going for a bit of we're going for a very dark vibe here. The Scourge, Sons of the Lash. I kind of dig these. They are the Sons of the Lash. You could look into asceticism for more inspiration, says Pixie Teeth. Yeah, I'm thinking ascetic Space Marines. I think ascetic Space Marines is a really interesting vibe. Taking that monk idea, but going really ham with it. Like, really ham with it. Like, these guys are making wine, but it's meant to taste bad. That's how big they believe in this stuff, you know? The luscious lashers. They have, like, big, massive perms and luscious locks. The last unclean. Oh, I like the lash unclean from Warp Andrix. The last unclean. Because they're like the guys, they've kept the faith this long, right? It's like 2,000 years since they swore an oath to never clean their armor. To not, like, daily flagellate themselves openly until the Emperor returned. The Emperor hasn't returned yet. It's been like 2,000 years. The Emperor still hasn't returned, but they still hold out. They still refuse to clean. The last consecrated. Okay, that's pretty cool. There's a lot of cool Space Marine names here. There's a lot of cool. The Eternal Baptized. Ooh. I'm liking these ideas, guys. You give me a lot to think about. I'm gonna write down some of these. So let me see, because I don't know if I'll be able to decide today, but I'm gonna write down a bunch of these. The Sullied Brethren looks pretty good from Chris Goodyear. Brethren. The Last Penitents from Meta Ad Infinitum. What was the Sons of the Lash? I like that one. From Mike Stain. There was another one I thought. The Last Unclean. The Last Unclean. I like that. The Great Unclean Ones. No Skype answer. They're not like that. So with this vibe, maybe we do keep it black. Maybe they do have the Black Templar armor. So they had a black armor. They've refused to wash it. They've refused to clean it. They've refused to repaint it. So now we're dry brushing it metal. We got black armor. We're dry brushing it metal. We're throwing on lots of rust colors and things like that and blood splatters. And we're going to take a different color for the tabard. We're going to take a different color for the tabard because that's how they represent the changing of the order. You know, they've changed over into a new tabard. The Suffered Bastion. That's right. The Last Bastion I quite liked. The final Bastion. The Last Vigil. Ooh, okay. So you gotta remember, these guys believe themselves to be actually, I think these guys got a little bit of a superiority complex. There's an arrogance about this chapter. They believe themselves as to be like the last believers. Like, if the Black Templars don't believe hard enough to these guys. The Black Templars are not real believers. They're not really believers. So they're kind of sitting in judgment of all other Space Marine chapters. Oh, okay. So I guess the little bit of this idea is, like, these are the Space Marines. So I guess they're kind of similar to the Minotaurs, right? Because the Minotaurs, they're the Space Marine chapter that will fight other Space Marines. What if we kind of riff a little bit on that? What if we take this for this chapter and we say that these guys will fight Space Marines as well? The final trait, the last hope, says Secondhand Biter. The Death Dealers. The Apostles of Anguish, says Dallas. I'm loving the alliteration with that one. The Hallowed Few. I like that one, Brett. I like that one. The Hallowed Few. Order of the Faithful. Make them Chaos Marines that used to worship Nurgle and wish them to repent. No, they worship the Emperor. They worship the Emperor. Keepers of the True Faith. The Last Believers. The Last Believers. Okay, well, I'm going to write that down as well. Well, thank you guys for your suggestions. These are pretty good. The Last Apostles. I think this is going to be the vibe that I'm going for. Nothing has, like, grabbed me to the extent where it has precluded all of them. There's a lot of really good ones here. And I like them. The Lash Soul Brothers. These guys need an Inquisitor on their side. Yeah, John Colvin, I agree. So there's 100% an Inquisitor in this force. There's 100% an Inquisitor. The Apostles of Dorn. Yeah, the Apostles of Dorn, yeah. I think even Rogel Dorn didn't go hard enough for these guys. These guys are not satisfied with Dorn's behavior. Not satisfied with Dorn's behavior. Yeah, like the Fire Angels. Nadimus really liking the Last Believers. The final faithful. What do you call like the Doomsday kind of cults? Is there any words for there? The Adjudicators of the Lash. I like that. Adjudicators of the Lash. I like that. Brothers of Bastion. Ooh. The Soap Shunners, says Meta ad infinitum. Yes, I like it. Emo Boy, says Peter Wise. Yeah, these guys are pretty emo. Yeah. They are. They got Linkin Park on in the background. They're coming for you. Jim Bob, thank you very much for the donation, says, this is a real offer. Okay, so you know it's going to be good. This is a real offer. Do you want custom shoulder pad files for free for your army? That could be posted to the community. The thing I need to know is, what is the symbol of Discoursair's Marines? That's a very cool offer. Firstly, thank you very much for the donation. I don't know what a symbol would be. What would be the Discoursair symbol, guys? I'm actually not sure at all what a symbol would be. I have more of a Dark Eldar's the vibe I go for. But thank you very much for the offer. Custom shoulder pad files would be very cool. I'm not sure. So I don't know. I guess I'm still in the kind of kit bashing the ideas around the army. But thank you very much for the offer. Sectarian of the Lash. I think deep down you really wanted a Space Marine army, says Dim the Creative. Well, you see, I'm tapping into the same place that I would tap into if I was making a Sisters of Battle force. Like, you can kind of tell that there's a certain vibe I like in Warhammer. But that's because I came from the grimdark times of the 2000s, whenever everything was all dark and silly and dumb, you know, and Linkin Park was on, and everybody was like, you know, everybody was getting all emo and hanging around City Hall. That's the vibe. Panda Templars Ruiner, Vibe Killer, the Vibe Killers. I like that, the Vibe Killers. I'm digging that. Red Oborus, thank you very much for the donation. Thank you very much. I really appreciate that. Says, I'm bad at naming things. However, look up tank weathering, which is a great way to weather armor. With dryer, rust, and paint flaking. Also, there is a little towards your contrast pants. Thank you very much. I really do appreciate that. Thank you very much. It's very kind of you. I thank you very much. I will actually, yeah, thank you. I'm actually gonna, yeah, it's a good idea. See, I had not originally intended to do that, to do like this, you know, to do like weathering and things. But maybe this will be like a new thing. Maybe I'll try it. Let's do weathering, rust, paint flake. I think that's what we're gonna go for because it feels so thematic. This is great. It's great energy, guys. I'm loving it. Okay. I'm digging it. Let's see here. Robert Surtees saying, in terms of Jim Bob's offer, is saying that 3D printed parts would disqualify them from official Games Workshop stores. Is that the case? Is that the case, guys? Would 3D print? Because I know that the Games Workshop policy applies to tournaments. I think you can't have a certain amount of 3D printed. Would that disqualify them from stores? Let me know, guys, in the chat, because if so, I'm very, very sad to hear that, because unfortunately, I have designed these. I want these to be playable in a Games Workshop store. They're kind of designed to do that. Because if I end up, so there's a potentiality that I might end up raffling these off for charity, and so if I do that, I want them to be playable in a Games Workshop store, if that's the case. So let me know, would 3D printed parts disqualify these Space Marines from a Games Workshop store? Because if it does, that is a very disappointing thing to hear. It's a very poor policy from Games Workshop. Shinir Shien. Okay, so I did not pronounce this name right. My apologies. But I just calls them as I sees them. I says, what's the name of the word bearers before they met Lugor? Imperial Heralds or something like that. Would be a nice idea, making them loyal pre-Lugor word bearers instead of Black Templars. That could be kind of cool, couldn't it? If they were word bearers in the distant past who basically have sworn, who are basically still loyal. Discoursaire, says Meta Infinite, symbol would be a disco ball with spikes. So like a little ball with spikes. Praetors of Encrust, says Maddie Lumley. The dogmatic order. For heraldry, horse riding, a disc. A disc horse. I thought it would just be a picture of worm tongue, you know? Magnetize the shoulder pads. That'd be a lot of work. I actually don't magnetize things very often. I usually just glue. Cuddly Hive Time. But thank you for the suggestion. Skybutcher says we shall take no baths. Discourse Marines, probably. Yeah, that's their vibe. They're like a dog who doesn't want to get a bath, you know, or the cat. It's like no, it's not happening. Aaron Matthews says 3D printed parts are fine. You have to be able to say it's your design, which in theory would be, in like not in an ownership way, but in terms of a thematic way, it would be. Siphon says 75% mostly, but there are black sheep among store managers. Oh no! So this is making me a little bit nervous then about that idea. Peter Weiss says if they're not seeing the non-GW Inquisitor, they won't notice the shoulder pads. That is true. Although, so I'm going for a non-GW Inquisitor, but I'm aware that worst comes to worst, I can just buy Inquisitor Greyfax. You know what I mean? Like, it's not like the biggest deal to like have to buy Inquisitor Greyfax. I mean, it's like £19, so it's not exactly cheap, but I can buy Inquisitor Greyfax and replace that single model. It would be a much, much bigger deal if I were to add on a bunch of like 3D printed elements to models, and then the store manager's like, no. And the thing is, there's only one store. Where I live, one Games Workshop store. So if that place doesn't let you play with them, then you're boned, right? Like then you're boned. You can't play in the Games Workshop store. God, it's the control they have, you know, over the local area. But I want it to be playable in that. So that's kind of a little bit nervous. Just say they're made out of green stuff. I could do that. I could just lie, Mike. Yeah, that's true. The Sons of Ignominy. Ooh, the eternally unclean. How about something like the Oath Keepers or something like that, you know? Because they've sworn an oath. They've sworn an oath to never, the word bearers, right? Like they've sworn an oath to never ever kind of paint their armor again or to clean their armor until the Emperor is returned. So what if it's something like the Word Keepers or, you know, like the, let's see. The Oath, the Sons of the Lost Bet. Yeah, maybe we tie it a little bit to their actual like out of lore theme. The easy to paint Marines, just base gray and wash. Yeah, maybe. if we're going for word bearers, then I guess like the tabards would still work. The oath bearers. The oath bearers. The Oath Keepers is a right-wing organization in the States. I'd avoid it, says Meta Infinitum. Well, thank you very much for letting me know. Yeah, I'll avoid that then. The oath given. Wardens of Sanctuary. The last words commune, says Road Goes Ever On. How about the final word? The promise, the oath, the oath, the promise man. Oh, yeah, everyone's telling me, Oath Keepers, no, don't do Oath Keeper, chat's going, no. I've never heard of them. Leroy says, so what do you do to make them legal? Print one off, then make a silicone mold of it, and then stuff up with green stuff to make individual symbols. And that's just how you make it legal. God, it's also arbitrary, isn't it? It's also arbitrary. The Heralds of Adjudication. I did have an idea originally called, like, the Iron Judges or something. The Iron Judges or the Iron Judiciary. The final word or last word is a nice cocktail. Well, that's actually... What color is the cocktail? What if it was something kind of ironic for their situation, like the Unsullied or the Pure, where they think that bathing would somehow taint them because it would wash off all the So they definitely have a really weird relationship with the idea of sin. I think the Oathsworn. The Oathsworn is pretty good. It's actually a very easy name, isn't it? The Oathsworn. It kind of rules off the tongue a little bit. In fact, it feels like if we were to Google it, we'd be pulling up something. The Oathsworn. Let's see. The Oathsworn is a series of books. A series of books. The Stankfish, says Luke McDonaldson. Thank you very much for that. I mean, it's not the worst thing. The grime bearers, the grim skulls, named after the character in Skeleton Warriors. The grim skulls. The unwanted. Oh, okay. Kind of the unwanted, or we're kind of making them. I kind of feel like we're kind of like we're crowdsourcing a bit of lore here, guys. I feel like we're in like the writer's room for like a comic book or something. How about something like the memory? You know, like they're the final people who remember. Like the Imperium is meant to be religious, right? I know that it's not. That's kind of the irony of the thing, right? But that's why they're taking the irony. So they're like the keepers of the flame, or the keepers of the memory, or the itchy stinkers. Ooh, itchy stinkers, says Cheshunt. Could do a Halloween thing, says Insane Mang. I'm not gonna have enough time to do a Halloween thing. I'm like way out of time for that. I'm like way out of time for that thing. The Iron Judges with their chapter master, Judge Dredd. That is kind of the vibe, right? Oh. That is kind of the vibe. Emperor's Own. And he would recognize them when he returns. He would recognize them for what they are, the faithful. And he would recognize them for what they are, his fist against the heretics. That's kind of the chaplain proselytizing, I'm thinking. You know, they got that Southern Baptist, the kind of that lilt in the voice, the big bombastic style of talking. The Mementors. Ooh, the Mementors is kind of good. I like that from Andre. The Mementors. And by the smell, says John A. Johnson, and he shall know them. With nary a look, with nary a gaze, with only his nostrils could he sniff out the true believers. Yes, the last soul guardians. The Sullied of Hope. The Emperor's Remembrance. The Unsullied. Yeah, the Unsullied. The Dignified. Inquisitor Dread. Well, there was oh god, I'm trying to remember the Rogue Trader, the classic, the what do you call the traditional, the classic Rogue Trader Inquisitor? Obi-Wan. What was his surname? I'm trying to remember. The Mortification Brotherhood. Soul Drinkers 2. Says Margatha Pie. The Unsworn. Seriously, I go with the Oathborn. Born from oath, bound by duty. Writes itself, says Barbarous Bloodshed. The Oathborn is a good one, yeah. The Oathborn. I like that. The Baptized. I do like that. The Baptized. I like that as well. Ooh, there's so many. There's so many. Ooh, the shames of the unwanted. The Unintended. Oh. Ooh, the Eternal Witness. Lots of great ideas here. The Unwashed Maces. You should paint them. Okay, so Clang Victon Gaming is saying, hey, Discourse, you should paint them as meme marines. Best chapter, hands down. The meme marines. So, a little bit of a disaster. I've just dropped my cream soda. It is very fizzy. So let's try to be real careful with this. Let's try and be real careful. It didn't fizz. It didn't fizz. We're actually okay. We're actually okay. Woo! Yes, Obi-Wan, Sherlock, Clouseau. Yeah, that's it. How about the unmentionables? The unmentionables! Oh yeah, of course I remember the famous Inquisitor, Obi-Wan Sherlock Clouseau. Of course, how could one forget? Jim Bob says, if the majority of the model is GW parts, and the part in question is an original, either sculpted yourself or commissioned, GW quote, not commercially available, then you're all good. Well, thank you very much for the offer, Jim Bob. I would be definitely interested in that, yeah. The Soap Dodgers. Oh. The unintended. Okay, so there's a lot to mull on here. There's a lot to mull on. But I'm really pleased. I think this has been a super productive session. The Blemished is a good one. The Blemished is a good one. Yeah, the Blemished. I think it's been very, very productive as a session. Because I think we have nailed the lore. We know who these guys are now. I don't know whether or not they are a successor chapter to the Word Bearers, or they're a successor chapter to the Black Templars. I think either. I could go for either one. In fact, what we could do is we could do it. We could just square. We could round the circle. Nobody knows. There are some who think that it's the Black Templars, and there are some who think it's the Word Bearers. But the records are lost. The records are lost. Easy peasy. Easy peasy. The silent vow. The silent vow. Ooh. Ooh. So we could just make it so that we don't know. Yeah, we don't know whether or not they're from the... We don't know which one they're from. The records are lost. So, sad, but there we go. And they refuse to clean or prime their armor until the day the Emperor returns. And this was the oath that they have sworn. Either way, they don't think anybody else goes hard enough. And they work with the Inquisition. They work with the Inquisition. So we're going to go for a sort of darker color. We're going to dry brush it metallic for the armor. And we're going to pick a color for the tabard. And that's... I think that's a really nice place to be in. I think that's a really nice place to be in. What I would love to do, and it's unfortunate because Games Workshop models are so expensive, what I would love to do at this stage would be to test paint a model or two, you know? Before I, like, embrace the full thing. Unfortunately, what that would mean is I would need to buy, like, another box of, like, intercessors or something to, like, test out a paint scheme. Which is really unfortunate. Because that's like £30 just to like test some models. I don't want to lose any models, you know, like to the kind of testing. They give you a free model. Maybe I'll ask them. I'll go down and I'll ask them for one. I'll be like, give me a free model. I spent like $500 on Space Marines. Give me a free model. Give me it. You owe me one. You owe me a free model, Games Workshop. Give me it. Just go down there and demand it. Demand it. Walk in with this massive pile of boxes and be like, Games Workshop, give me the goddamn model. Give me the goddamn model. Paint a sister, says Raphael. I don't want to waste a sister. That's what I use intercessors I bought for, says Ron. So here's the thing. I've never painted a Space Marine before. So I don't even know, like, how clever, like, whether or not these plans of mine are even going to work. I've never actually painted a Space Marine before. I've painted Sisters of Battle, but I've never painted a Space Marine. I don't know how. See, I don't know. I can probably find a sprue of Marines on eBay cheap. Yeah, maybe I'll do something like eBay. Because the reason why I did not use eBay for the 2,000 points that I purchased was because I wanted to buy them new. So firstly, I wanted to know how much money it would cost. This was actually like So the original idea for the video was, what I was going to do was, I was going to take it as an opportunity to kind of have a bit of an idea of what it would be like, how much does it actually cost to walk into Warhammer and be like, I'm going to get into Warhammer, and I'm going to go buck wild, and I'm going to buy 2,000 points. I'm going to buy standard army size. Like, how much does that actually cost? Costs quite a lot, apparently. Costs quite a lot. I think maybe at some stage in the future, I might actually do that, but with orcs, because I don't want a house. I would prefer to live on the streets. So maybe do it with like orcs or something to see how much that would cost in contrast. And I suspect it would be I think it might be a lot more money, but in time, this is not, it's not something to be entered into lightly. It's not something to be entered into lightly at all. I was too quick to make that bet, I think. It's far too quick to make that bet. Durante says, I paid like $10 for 5 assault intercessors and an outrider just to use them as paint testers. So I think I will actually have to pick up some models to use as a paint tester. Buy the 40k magazine. Comes with a single marine. Oh yeah, the Imperium magazine. Maybe I could do that, yeah. It's actually a pretty good idea. Yeah. Okay, I'll do that, I think. I'll do that. Let's see here. Agreed, get a Warhammer Imperium with whatever you want. Yeah, I think I will. 2,000 points of Gene Stealer, says EBZ Muffs Shaw. Yeah, I could do that. I actually could do that. 2K Cults of Gene Stealer is one of my favorite armies. So I could actually go... I actually do have a Gene Stealer cult force, though. Is kind of the downside. Right? I do actually have an existing Gene Stealer force. But I guess I could just make another one. I would actually be a little bit of an advantage. Because as much as there would be way more minis, I'd have a little bit more of wherewithal about the actual kits. With the Space Marine kits, I was originally going to do a single build bonanza with them. But then I realized, like, I actually don't know how the hell I'm going to build Space Marines. I don't know about the options. Games Workshop kits these days can be a little bit scary. I don't want to be rushed into trying to decide which one's the Pyre Blaster, which one's not, things like that. So I'm going to build them off camera, and then I'm going to present them all and paint them on a single video. I'm not including building in the 24 hours. George Atkin says, Space Marines have plenty of spare bits. Try your paint schemes on that. Okay, so let's actually look to see what we get. I actually don't know what the hell I get in one of these boxes. Or rather, let's see. So we got the Space Marine Heavy Intercessors here. Let's see. Okay. The Stains of the Faithful, says Dan. That's a good idea, yeah. The Dishonored. Alright, so we get this. So we get 2 sprues. Okay, so we're getting 2 sprues. Let's see. 35 pounds, ladies and gentlemen. Two hard plastic sprues. Okay, so we're gonna get some bodies and some legs. I'm looking here. And it does look like you get an okay amount of... I'm seeing plenty of little guns, little holsters there. I don't know whether or not they're necessary. Yeah, I don't think I'm gonna build these on camera. I think I'm gonna build them off camera. There's a little bit of tricks to them. Let's see how many heads. How many heads do you get? We're gonna get... Okay, awesome. So we get 5 heads that are covered. That's good. That's gonna be my big plan. Oh, Leroy, I do have a whole extra chaplain. Oh, okay. And the good thing about the chaplain is, I think he's going to have plenty of different textures. So, here's the thing. I don't have the honor of the chapter yet. I don't have that box. It hasn't arrived yet. It's actually the one thing that hasn't arrived yet. But when he arrives, I think I am going to do that. Thank you for reminding me. I'm going to have an extra chaplain. Use something where you can use a cheap army painter color primer to make it quicker to paint. Dry brush, paint a few details, and cover in streaking grime. No, so I'm going to build it up. I think I'm going to do the slap chop method. I'm going to do the slap chop. And then I'm going to dry brush metallic over them. Going to throw in a bunch of Nuln Oil. And then I'm going to paint tabards a primary color of a choosing. I'm not sure yet. Something that represents an oath of some kind. And then I'm going to dirty them all up by throwing on rust colors. I'm going to throw on blood. I'm going to throw on bits of hex flame. I'm going to do little black scorch marks and stuff, depending on how much time I have. Because it's going to be like a against the clock thing. I'm going to start with the captain. I'm going to paint them all the base. I'm going to do them all the base, and then I'm going to dry brush them all metal. And then I'm going to start with the captain and start dirtifying them. And then I'm going to work my way down. I'm going to work my way down from the captain to Grimaldis to the, then go to the elites, and then the heavy support, and then to the troops last, I think. I think that's it. Those intercessors cost around $10 per mini. It's incredibly expensive. Yeah, no, it is. It's incredibly expensive. The Rainbow Marines, says Red Fox Lady. Don't get me wrong. I actually would like the Rainbow Marines, but I've only got 24 hours here. And Rainbow Marines are, by their definition, going to require a lot of colors. We're going to go grim dark hardcore on this one. The Combat Patrol will have an upgrade sprue, so there will be base marine parts you will not use, says Boffon Dope. So yeah, I think I'll build them, and then I'm going to look and see, do I have enough kind of side bits to do a test marine? I will do a test marine. I'll dirtify it up a little bit, make sure that works, and then if it does, well, hey, I'm ready to do that across all of the Marines in 24 hours. I don't know why I do this to myself. I don't know why I do this to myself. I really don't. But hopefully, without, unless I don't kind of have a stroke, there will be a full 2,000 points done by the end of it. I will have one night, and I will do it. And I will have a full 2,000 points for the Space Marines. Hopefully. It'll be a hard night. It'll be a pretty awful night, but it will be all of them. Officers should have dirtier armor since it's older. Yeah, that's exactly it. Will you stream the 24-hour painting marathon? I will not stream it, Samuel, but I will record it. So I will create a video around it. I'll create a video around it and put it up on the channel. So if you want to catch that, then check me out on, then subscribe. Yeah, subscribe. Muffshell, thank you very much for the follow on Twitch. For some reason, Twitch is feeding into this. That's fine. If you guys are interested, it's twitch.tv/discoursegames is my Twitch name. Garzini says, I can only assume you don't like sleep. I will not for that night. I will not be sleeping that night. I'll probably put on some obscure Italian horror, and I will go, right, let's do this, boys. And we will go flat out. We're gonna go flat out. Benjamin Walker says, what about going Zenithal white and then slapping in all the weathering products in the world on them and you're 90% done, just because weathering and dirt looks strongest on bright armor? We're kind of getting into this idea that they went the opposite from Black Templar, right? They were like, we're not the Black Templar, nah, we're the White Templar. Though I think White Templars exist. They're like, we're the grime Templar. We're the Brown Templar. I need to get the Skaven Black Grunge. Oh, there is that new contract. I haven't used it yet. The Skaven color. Could that be the tabard? Would it be like a dirty brown? Would that work? That could work, right? We could go for like the Skaven. What color is that? The Skaven Blad. The Skaven Bad, the Skaven Dirtbird, the Skaven, the grimy Grimgrom, or something like that. How's the Warhammer Overworld campaign coming along, by the way? Says John Colvin. I don't know. It's not. I don't have an old world campaign yet. I actually all my old world models are currently in storage at the minute. The Grim Dark Templar. Well, I mean, like, that's it. Yeah, the dirt magnets. Which chapter am I painting? Imperial Ramblings. I am painting my own chapter. We have worked today. This stream was all about creating that chapter. We just homebrewed it. We as a community, we just homebrewed it, and we are now we worked out the kind of color vibe that we're gonna go for. We've worked out the ideas for it, and we're getting ready. These guys, George Atkin, are not the bullet dodgers. They are the bullet goers. They're going into the bullet. They're like, yes, if I die, I get to join the Emperor. Ha! They jump in front of the bullets. Black Legion is what you're looking for. Stormfield is blue. No, I've got Black Legion. I don't want black. I want like the dirty brown. Am I thinking of the there's like a Skaven one, isn't there called one that's like rat grime or sewer block or something like that? Let's see, Games Workshop new contrast. It's one of the newer ones. New contrast. The new contrast. Here we go. What's it called? It's like Rattling Grime. The Rattling Grime. That's it. Does that one look good? I think I've heard good things about Rattling Grime. I think I've heard people say good things about Rattling Grime. The Blood Templars, says Tony. Well, thank you very much for the suggestion there, Tony. The Dirt Digglers, John says. The Dirt Burglar. Oh my. Oh, the Dirt Burglars. I'm not a fan of that one. Slacker at large says 2,000 points in 24 hours is binge hobbying. Very ambitious. Well, yeah, it is. It is very ambitious. I'm gonna go for it. I'm gonna see. I mean, if I feel, right? Like, but I'm gonna really try and go for it. I think I can be done. I think I can do it. We've got we've got a fair amount of them, and I'm gonna try and paint them well. But I think Slap Chop will be the way by which I could do this. Rattling Grime, yeah. Tagline: we endanger species. We endanger species. Yeah. So, well, I feel like, I think we've nailed this. Do you think Rattling Grime would work on that? If we go for like a zenithal highlight, we go for the slap chop, right? So that they look kind of statuesque. And then we paint over like a darker kind of color. And then we dry brush it metallic. And we throw on a bunch of dirt and grime. I think that could work. There is pizza rattling. And for the tabards, then we use Rattling Grime. With that vibe. Because it could be that the tabards were white at one stage, but you know what white's like. It picks up all the dirt. It's impossible to get out. Meta Infinitum says, I think 2K in 24 hours is a bit mad. Like, I've watched Marathon Hobby and most are like a combat patrol in 24 hours. Pah! I think I can do it. I've painted not quite as much, but I've painted quite a lot in a 24-hour period once before. I did it with the Sisters of Battle. So I feel like I could do it again. Now, the Sisters of Battle, I had to do it in 24 hours. So I was very much incentivized. Like, I had no other time. Like, I had a game that was using the Sisters of Battle, and I had forgotten to paint them. Because I screwed up. So I had to paint them in 24 hours. And I didn't enjoy the game that I played with them because I was exhausted. In fact, I actually ended up not playing with them. My friend brought a Blood Angel Force. I was like, ah! It was a nightmare. I think I can do it. Redabor says, keep track of how long it takes to put them together. That takes a ton of work to put it together. Okay, so I will say I'm going to put them together like before. I don't think I was originally planning on putting them together, but with Games Workshop kits, because I've made choices, one squad has a Pyre Blaster, one squad doesn't. So I don't want to feel pressured on making those choices because I don't want to accidentally screw up my loadout. Because I'm like panicking and trying to build as fast as possible. So I'm going to leisurely build the forces. And then what that also means is that I'll have 2,000 points built. And then I can kind of see what I've got left over. And then try out some color schemes on those leftover bits. Is what I'm thinking. That's what I'm thinking. That's what I'm thinking. Do you think they get mad when they get mistaken for Plague Marines, says MacArthur? Yeah, probably. Well, I mean, I kind of feel like Plague Marines are so rare, like nobody would even think of comparing them to that. You know what I mean? Because the Galaxy's a big place. Leroy says, there's a guy at my game, so went to a tournament and ended up bringing the wrong army. So he spent the day before assembling and painting a whole new one just to play. It's doable. Thank you for that words of encouragement, Leroy. Although that is insane to me, and I would just have used the army I brought. I would, if I was going to a tournament, I'd just be like, okay, I'm just going to use this army. Your brains are flashing red. Well, goodbye, Mr. Gunn. Have a good weekend. Rest of the weekend. If you want to go full Latin, Friaters Divinae Purificationis. Google translated from Brothers of Divine Purification. We are going to go for something Latin-y. Yeah. Stormfiend is a nice color, isn't it? I'm just looking at the new contrasts. I'm kind of looking at them going like, okay, that's not too bad. It's not too bad. So what if we went, Oh, Gargak Sur. What if we went for Gargak Sur? I think those are going to be the two colors I'm going to test on the tabard. I'm going to try Rattling Grime or Gargak Sur. I'm going to see how that looks. Whoops. I'm going to see how that looks. So let me just write that down. Gargax Sur versus Rattling Grime. I think that's going to be the big one. Have you thought about doing some simple head and weapon swaps to make them firstborn marine proxies with better proportions? Just a thought. Chris, to be honest, to me, the armor differences between Primaris and firstborn are very minute. Like, I actually don't see a huge difference in them. The helmets are different, the knee pads are different, but otherwise, honestly, so the ones that are different to me are like the Phobos Marines. Those ones obviously are very different, but I don't have any Phobos Marines. I've only got Intercessors and I have Crusaders. So I honestly don't feel like they look too different from the traditional firstborn. Honestly. Like I've bought Primaris models, but I mean I built that we kind of workshopped the chapter here. Like on stream, honestly, the idea of whether or not they've crossed the Rubicon or not hasn't even entered the conversation. Like I haven't even thought about it. I'm not really interested in that question. The question is more so how crazy, how buck wild are these Marines? And the answer is very buck wild. They are very buck wild. That's the main thing for me. That's all I really care about. So I'm just gonna use the Primaris armor and just dirty it up, you know. I think it would be a bit gray with Rattling Grime as a dirty metal color. Well, I'm going to slap chop it a little bit and throw the Rattling Grime maybe over. Is Discord reading from a different chat? Maybe on Twitch? I don't see the comments he's reading, says Daniel. Well, I see your chat, Daniel. No, I'm reading yours. I'm reading from the old YouTubes. I'm reading the YouTube's chats. I'm reading the old YouTubes. Gary says, what about the color of your local bobbies? A black and white pattern. No white. And also, I wouldn't be allowed inside the Games Workshop store if I did do that. I wouldn't be allowed. The question is, how dirty are these boys? They're pretty dirty. The Looney Crusade is coming. Well, yeah, because these guys are going to be the filthier side of the Inquisition kind of, I guess, like 6,000 point army that I'm going to build overall, over time, over the next couple of years. In 3 weeks' time, the Imperium magazine is going to have 3 sprues of Phobos Marines from issue 63 to 66. Thank you for the heads up, George. Florian says, dirty, grimy Raptor Marines when? You know, well, these Marines, they know what's up. Well, look, guys. Thanks very much for joining me, but we're gonna start tapering off here. I think I've gotten everything I need from you. I think we've come up with a really cool idea. I think we've come up with the beginnings of a cool color scheme. I'm gonna have to leave though and kind of test some of them and see how they look. I think that'll be the easiest way for me to decide. And yeah, and I think we've come up with some I've got a big list of your names that you've suggested. I got a huge list, so I'm gonna take those. And I'm either gonna put them in a hat and pull a name out, or I'm just gonna pick one that I think sounds particularly cool if one like leaps out at me. Yeah, I think that's kind of neat. But if you got any, so I'm gonna go in like 15 minutes. So if you've got any questions, let me know. Let me know if you got any questions, you want to know anything. Hit me up, because I've got so today's gonna be a little bit of a shorter stream, basically, because usually I go for 3 hours. I'm only gonna go for 2 hours this week because I gotta record a video. Because I've decided I'm gonna take Halloween off. I've given myself a day off, so that means I'm gonna squeeze a video in today. Space Marines recap, says Errol Drummond. Oh, recap of them. Okay, so really quick. These Space Marines are either a Word Bearer or a Black Templar Successor chapter. We don't know. The records are either lost, or they've been misappropriated, or they're hidden by the elders of this chapter. And they split from one of those because of an ecumenical matter, basically a doctrinal disagreement. And they are an arrogant chapter who believe that the rest of the Space Marines, like all of the Space Marines, are incorrect. They don't believe in the Emperor as a god. This is the reason for why the Emperor has not returned, because the Imperium do not believe hard enough. This is a big problem for them. So their oath, they swore an oath whenever they broke away from their original chapter. They broke away, and they swore an oath that they would not paint their armor, they would not clean their armor until the Emperor returns. And the Emperor returns, that will happen whenever the Imperium has been purified. And so therefore, their armor is very dirty, it's very grimy, it's very messy, because we're talking like armor that's been passed down generations, thousands of years, without ever being cleaned or repainted. And now they are working alongside the Inquisition. They're basically used as thugs by an Inquisitor, by the Inquisition. They're working alongside them because they're trying to assist in the goal of purifying. And they'll probably be similar to the Minotaurs. They'll probably be a force that are utilized to go after other Space Marine chapters. Because let's be real, the vast majority of battles are going to be Space Marine versus Space Marine here, if we're going on the table. So they're going to be a chapter that are fine with going after other Space Marines. They are going to be, there's going to be 2,000 points of them, and they're going to have a color scheme that's going to be a darker, kind of grimy kind of color, dry brush metallic, and then a primary color of the tabard with a bunch of a mess and stuff all over them. And that's it. And they're going to either be called the Sullied Brethren, the Last Penitents, the Sons of the Lash, the Last Uncleaned, the Last Bastion, the Last Vigil, the Hallowed Few, the Last Believers, the Last Apostles, the Final Faithful, the Adjudicators of the Lash, the Vibe Killers, the Oath Keepers, the Word Keepers, the Oath Bearers, the Final Word, the Iron Judges, the Oath Sworn, the Grim Skulls, the Unwanted, the Mementors, the Dignified, the Oathborn, the Baptized, the Unintended, the Blemished, the Silent Vow. One of those. So that's what we're going to go for. Something like that. That's the recap. The Sin Eaters. Oh, the Sin Eater is a Wraith. World of Darkness. The Sin Eaters, though, is a very good name. The Sin Eaters is a very good yeah. The Sin Eaters are a very good name. Very cool idea for the chapter. Well, thank you very much, chapter at large. Holders of the Truth. Yeah. The Craigie Islands Seekers, yeah. The Shin Eaters, led by Gerald Adamond. Oh, now we're getting very political. Marine Penitent. Yeah, so these guys are basically flagellants that are basically, you know, like the Witchfinder General movie with Vincent Price? Well, you know the way, like in other media, really, like Witchfinder Generals often had those thugs who would basically follow them around and grab these poor souls and torture them for confessions. That's these guys. These guys will probably be torturers, right? They torture people for confessions. They torture other Space Marines for confessions. Maybe that could be their speciality, in inflicting pain upon Space Marines. It's kind of ironic, actually. So they're kind of coming to imbue everything that's chaos in their worship of the Emperor, right? They have the violence of Khorne. They have the violence of Khorne in the sense that they are very violent individuals. They're all about purifying, going down to somewhere and absolutely ravaging the place. They have the Nurgle vibe of their armor is completely unclean. They refuse to clean it. They refuse to paint it. And they obviously are probably pretty sick. Well, they would be if they weren't Space Marines. Like, humans would die in this filth, you know? But Space Marines wouldn't. So that's kind of a very Nurgle-y aspect. And then, because they're like torturers for the Inquisition, they're all about the application of pain. They're all about the application of pain. They're punishers. And so, that's kind of a Slaaneshi vibe, all about knowing how things... So they've got like a very chaos vibe to them all of a sudden. They could be chaos, as Cam said. You have the Codex, don't you? I guess they could. They're sort of like in their gray area. They worship the Emperor so hard that they're almost full circle. Not Zinchi, though, I guess. They're not very Zinchi. Unless they have like well, actually, their preachers, their chaplains are very, very charismatic. Are very charismatic. they probably talk about the doctrines and interpret those in different ways, which is kind of a bit zinchy, you know, like knowledge and things like that. So that could be kind of cool. Meta says, I think the Inquisitor should be fully washed. Yeah. But Discourse needs to make a tiny green stuffed peg over her nose. Yeah, the Inquisitor's like, okay, guys. Thanks very much. The Sado Whippy boys. Yep. They're basically pre-heresy Night Lords, says Samuel Roberts. Maybe. I actually don't know that much about Night Lords outside of them being Batman. I don't know much more than that. The Sin Eaters. Yeah, they could be that, yeah. So, like, they I guess they are sort of like, they're kind of chaosy, yeah, now that we're talking about it. Now that we're kind of connecting the dots a little bit. But then, I mean, like, what separates chaos from the sort of the actual religiosity of the Imperium, really? Right? They're just kind of, they're heretics, right? Chaos. But, like, they both are ultra-religious weirdos, really, when you get down to it. Ultra-religious weirdos. Run them as both. Play them like the Alpha Legion. Yeah, I can just be like, yeah, sometimes they use the chaos stuff and sometimes they don't. Well, it's kind of funny, actually. It would be kind of like doing, so if I were to actually build them using the Chaos Codex, they would actually be kind of fitting. Because these are absolutely the kind of guys who would have, like, servants. Like, ultra-religious servants following them around. You could use the cultist profile for them. You could just use the cultist profile, and you would have those, the Commodore models with them as well, firing away, right? The Tormentors of Doom. They are the arch enemies of Zinch because they refuse to change their underwear. Benjamin Walker says, I made my custom legion, the Dogs of War, so they could be played as Chaos or Loyal. Filed off all the Aquillas, added chains, and weathering. That's pretty cool, yeah. You swap the Inquisitor for a Sorcerer or something. Ooh. Dally Hunter says, I realize reading this chat stream that I'm a filthy casual. I know about 2% of the references. Here's the thing, right? I've been playing Warhammer for like 20 years, honestly. And I still don't know most of the chapters or anything in them, because I don't read a lot of like the books and things. I don't kind of engage in the extended media, because I'm a war gamer. You know, I'm a war gamer first, so I don't engage in a lot of the extended media. I haven't read any of the Horse Heresy books. I wouldn't be able to name off all the Primarks. I wouldn't be able to tell you their vibes. I wouldn't be able to name you the 7 main Space Marine chapters. Actually, you got Blood Angels, Dark Angels. I thought Black Templar were, but they're like a successor chapter. You got Imperial Fists, the Iron Hands, Ferrus Manus, right? The Iron Hands. What else? You got Blood Angels, Dark Angels, Iron Hands, Imperial Fists, Ultramarines, obviously. There's 7, isn't there? Oh, I'm really close. What color? The Salamanders, right? Vulcan. And is there one more? There's another one I'm missing. But yeah, right? Like I don't know. Iron Hands and Iron Wars. I know they're 2 different ones, but I didn't know which one was like one of the main ones, you know? Like one of the main ones. The Raven Guard. Okay, the Raven Guard, yeah. The Raven Guard. Cool. The Raven Guard actually were one of the cooler models, just because I thought the color scheme was really nice on them when I first started in with Warhammer. Oh yeah, the wolves, the wolfy man. Space wolves, of course, yeah. Honestly, some of the references are just making people making puns about smells. Yeah, they really are. Yeah. Well, thank you very much, Gary. Thank you very much. I really appreciate that. Thank you. I'll thank you on Ko-fi later on whenever I go on it. But thank you very much. I appreciate that. I appreciate the donation. The Golden Boys says Errol Drummond. The Golden Boys. Yeah. The real custodies. We'd be better bodyguards. That would be us. We'd be better bodyguards. That would be their vibe, yeah. Discourse, as long as you know the second and 11 Primarks, you're good. Oh yeah, obviously. I mean, like, I you know, I was told the names of them, but I had to make sure I never ever said. Paint them in a color no one uses, says Hogwood. What color does no one use? I think the thing about Warhammer is, I think like all the colors have been used. I think that all the colors have been used. For real. Am I wrong? Like, what color doesn't get used? What color doesn't get used? One long super name. Yeah, Sleeper says, I appreciate the very innovative naming of the Iron Hands after a do with an Iron Hand. The names of Space Marines are very, they're not very imaginative. They're not very orange. Yeah, you're right. Orange hasn't been used, and pink as well. They don't get used very often. I don't really like color, but orange. But I call them like the pumpkin pies or something. The pink could be a pretty cool color. I'd actually, isn't pink more of a? Isn't that Emperor's Children? Isn't that Emperor's Children? How about a turquoise purple tie-dye color? I did that with this model. I don't know whether or not it'll be picked up. Whoa! I did that with this model. I don't know whether or not you'll be able to see this. So, with this model here... No, you can't see it. But basically, take my word for it. This guy, his purple top is actually kind of, tie-dyed. I did it all as a tie-dye. Because I was like, that's pretty... A black gang in Judge Dredd would have a tie-dye, I think. Yeah, Dirty Feet of Brown. Yeah, just call shades of brown. I'm thinking about going Rattling Grime or Gargaxur, honestly, for the tabard. That's what I'm thinking. It's not exactly the coolest color ever. Or Doomfire Magenta. Ooh. Color shift paints. Yeah, Gary, we were talking about that earlier, but maybe using color shift paints earlier. We were talking about that earlier. That'd be kind of cool. Now, that would be the Zinchi aspect, right? That'd be the Zinchi feel. Glow-in-the-dark paint. I love to do that. Oh my god, you can tell it's getting dark because my green screen up here is starting to get all fuzzy-wuzzy because I've only got the one light on. I was using light from a window in order to light that side of it, but there we are. Well, look, guys, thank you very much for joining me today. Thank you very much for your suggestions. Thank you very much for everyone who donated. I really appreciate that. Thank you everyone who subscribed. And thank you for just joining me today. I had a ton of fun. I really love these streams. Really love hanging out with you guys. So thanks a lot. I hope you had fun yourselves, helping me pick out the next thing. So look towards the future when there will be a video on this and you will get to see this in all its glory. It probably won't be for like a little bit of time. Probably won't be until like December, maybe a little bit later, because I will need to set a day and it's really hard for me to actually find days off these days. And also I will need to do it with my new hobby desk and setup and stuff. So I'm gonna need to set that all up. So that might be a little bit of time, but it will be soon. It will happen. And yeah, we're gonna get it. So thanks so much, guys. I really do appreciate it. And I'm going to go off and record the next video today. Although, well, the next video will be out Monday. It's already been done. But then the video after that, I'm going to record it. Thanks, everybody. My Geller field is feeling that is my cutie exit. That is my cutie exit. That is my cutie exit. Thank you, everybody. And I'll catch y'all next time. Thanks very much. Have a great Halloween, by the way. Happy Halloween. Have a lovely Halloween. I hope you all watch some scary movies and eat lots of candy. Do it. I insist. Good night. Bye.